I've always wondered if I couldn't create one of those beautiful, elegant manicures that you see, the kind where it's kind of like a French manicure, but they color in the moon part of the nail and then they outline the nail. I've always just kind of wondered, how hard is that really? And I just found out that that little moon part of your nail is called the lanula, and it comes from the Latin term meaning little moon. So I'm just trying to draw that. Originally, I tried to use the daughter tool, and that did not work. It was just kind of scratching the nail polish off. I am using regular nail polish here, so I'm not really using gel polish or anything. So this does have a time limit because it dries very quickly. So I need to be deliberate and fast, but slow. The nail polish that I'm using is Sally Hansen Miracle Gel. It is, let me see, 510. It's called Game of Chromes. Now I like it even more. So it's, I don't know, it's kind of it's right in between like silver and gold. It's very sort of shiny. It's got some glitters in there. I actually think that it is kind of silver and gold. So it's a really, really light kind of gold color. Figured it would be a really nice offset with the black and stand out. So I'm not really finding, so far here, I'm not really finding this to be too terribly difficult. It is much easier than I thought it would be. As long as you kind of take your time and make sure that the polish is wet on the brush. I do like this little liner brush. It's got to be a very fine little liner brush. It does seem like I'm having to go over it quite a few times to like really, really get it to stand out. But it also kind of seems like the more I run over it, the more messy it kind of looks. I do think that something like this would be considerably easier using gel polish. Obviously, when I screw up here, which inevitably I know I'm going to screw up, I can't really erase this. Unless, of course, I had a gel polish base, which I don't have a gel polish base here. Everything that I'm using is just completely, totally normal nail polish. I'm using One Coat Black by Hollow Taco again. It's just my favorite black. So I'm trying something here. I have never ever been able to do a true French on myself. I cannot draw the lines. I cannot keep them correctly. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm just trying to use my finger and my fingernail as a guide. So I put a little dot where the edge of my finger kind of meets my fingernail, and then I put a dot in the middle of that to where I wanted the point to be. And I think that with enough practice, I could probably learn how to do this okay. I do not think that it was perfect here by any stretch of the imagination after I looked at it afterwards, like straight on. And maybe I could have done a little bit better if I wasn't actually putting my hand forward and having to do this in such a strange way for the filming. But maybe if I had had my hand in a little bit of a different way, it might have been a little more straight. But you can see that it is crooked here. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it is also not exactly what I wanted. So I don't think that looks great. I don't think it looks elegant. It's just not what I had in mind. So moving on to the next finger, and this finger has the biggest lunula I've ever seen. I don't know why I'm painting it that big, but I'm just in a moment feeling the creativity here like a true artist. Each one of my fingers is really going to be the same, only just like with a slight variation, just so that it's kind of interesting. I think what's so epic here is that Lunala just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger because I keep trying to fix the shape of it and I just keep making it worse and worse. Again, I think that with enough practice, I might be able to do this okay. I think it would take a lot of practice though. And one thing that I have found to be totally true, and I don't really get this, but it is so much easier to do someone else's nails than it is to do your own nails. Like I'm always so shocked. My whole entire life, like I've only actually done other people's nails maybe 4 times in my whole entire life. And every time I did their nails, I was like, why do they look so much better than when I do my own? And we're not talking about doing my other hand. Mind you, I will never do this on my other hand. That would be a total disaster. With enough practice, maybe it would work out, but I don't have that much time. Just a little bit of a mess here. I do think that my lines on my middle finger turned out like that line looks really nice, I think. It's just look at the size of my lunula. And it doesn't even really look like a moon. It actually looks like the sun has risen at this point. Yeah, that's just kind of a disaster. So this time I'm going to go around and attempt to actually outline the entire nail. Whereas the first one, just because I was coloring in the tip, I didn't really have to do like the full outline. So this one was just going to be a little tiny bit different, and we're going to leave the French open. So this time I have to attempt to draw a very perfect sort of French line. Now, I really wish that I didn't color in the corners the way that I did here. This is kind of weird, and it made it look really weird after the fact, but I mean, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. It just wasn't great looking. And you can see I just keep going over it and kind of making it worse and worse. I don't know that this nail polish was the right kind of nail polish to use to try to draw fine lines like this either. It really, really did dry really, really fast. But I was surprised that I could even draw the straight lines at all, to be honest. And so here we go. I'm trying the same technique again, where I put like the 2 little dots where my finger and my fingernail meet at the edge. And then I'm going to put a dot in the middle, and we'll see how that goes this time. I mean, if you've ever tried this, you know that this is just extremely difficult to do. I've always used to use those little, I think they were like the Sally Henson French manicure stickers. I always used to try to use those, and that never really worked out all that well either. You'd always have nail polish just leaking out the sides. One thing I've never tried to do, though, is that like when you go in and you have your nails done and they do the French manicure, I've actually seen how they do this crazy thing where they just paint on like the tip in like a really disgusting kind of way. The first time this happened to me and the salon lady did that, I looked at what she was doing and I was just horrified. When she painted the first nail. But then she did like some kind of weird magical thing where she sort of took like a big brush and then she just swiped across it and created like a perfect French manicure tip. I was like, kind of weird black magic did this chick just do? So I've never tried it, but you know what? Maybe that's not that hard. I mean, I bet it is. It looks hard. It seems hard. Even my mind is kind of melting thinking about that. So again, here you can see that I just keep going over those lines, and it just kind of keeps getting worse and worse and worse. And now I'm on to my next lunula. But we'll just kind of fast forward this part because, again, these are all just kind of the same. And I don't really mess up in any major way where like I have to start over or anything. I just kind of keep going nice and deliberate and slowly down this path. So in the end, this is kind of what I ended up with. It doesn't look atrocious, but it doesn't look great. Like, I kind of almost immediately wanted it off. You know, like I've never had this manicure either, like this kind of manicure, and I'm not sure if I like it. I think I may have liked it if a professional did it. But again, I'm just an at-home hobbyist here, so I mean, and it might have been the colors, I don't know. Like I just really, really wasn't liking it. It might have been because I set my bar really, really high and didn't get anywhere near my bar. Then I also kind of make the mistake where I decide to put a top coat on it, but I decided to put a matte top coat on it. And I really, really hate matte top coats. It's a thing, like I want to like matte top coats. I want to wear them, but you know what? I cannot stand the feeling of my nails when I'm wearing a matte top coat. It, like, everything about it just feels a little bit weird. It feels kind of thick and weird, and the texture, it just really, really bothers me. So every time I do it, I almost immediately regret it and want it off. But I keep on and keep on and keep on trying it. So I guess I just don't really learn from my mistakes. But I mean, this is what it ended up as. And like I said, it's not the ugliest thing that I've ever seen. It's just not great. And I think that this is where there's just something a little bit different. Like if I went to the grocery store or something and my nails were done like this, inevitably someone is going to stop me and say like, "Oh, I really like your nails." And you know what? It's possible that I may be at the grocery store and see someone's nails like this, and I would say, you know what? I really like your nails. Maybe I just don't like it on me. I also really like how I'm trying to fix it by putting another coat of the matte top coat on, making it even worse and thicker and clunkier looking. But yeah, I took it off pretty quickly. I think I popped it off the next day because I had a peely base on underneath it. So it was easy enough to get off. But I do think that I was really, really surprised with how easy it was to draw the lines and stuff. Like if you just took your time and you were really deliberate about it. So I definitely think that with enough practice, I could probably do this fairly well, even to a standard that I might like it. Thanks. Bye.